I'm Eugene Brown, Jr. This is my wife, Opal King Brown. Our farm is in Northampton County. We've certified tree farmers since August of 1962. We were the North Carolina Tree Farmer of the Year in 2013, and it is a joint venture between me and my wife. The original 34 acres of this farm were bought by my grandfather in 1883. My father expanded the acreage, and Opal and I have expanded it too. It's now 787 acres in this farm. We became tree farmers in 1962, and we set up an original plan based on selling trees at maturity at age 40. That plan has, of course, changed because now they're taking trees that are smaller in diameter and you sell them at 32 to 35 years. In our case, we divided the farm into 13 different tracts, ranging from the low end of 45 acres up to 108 acres. The idea is to try to sell a tract every third year, and we try to take the proceeds over 3 years to lighten the tax burden on that. Those plans sound good, but there's always something to come up and change them. You have hurricanes, you have floods. We've had an infestation of southern pine beetle and had to take them harvest early because of that. We've had an infestation of voles, V-O-L-E-S. They girded 3-year-old pines and killed about 80% in a 74-acre tract, and we had to burn those and then site prep it and replant those. And there's always something you're looking for, just managing a tree farm just the way you would a row crop farm. We try to take a thinning after about 15 to 18 years and a second one around 27 to 30, and the final harvest at 40. The market makes a determination for us as to when we want to harvest. We're cutting right now trees that were planted in 1971. And if the market had been higher, we would have cut them several years ago. As it worked out, it has not improved, and if we're going to stay on our management plan, we almost feel like we have to go ahead and cut them and get back into the plan. And so that's why we're cutting these trees this year.
I came here 57 years ago, and actually this was a chicken farm, although he had plenty of trees, and they tried to grow crops, and we would lose crops. It had an exceptional year if you got a good crop, because this land is bordering a swamp. And so they also had hogs here at one time, a number of places on these little farms that were added to make one big farm. He's done a lot of cleaning up on those, and I'm just a supporter of him, really.
Commercial timber is the primary objective. Of course, we're also a stewardship farm. We try to provide for wildlife. I've got about 45 bluebird boxes around the farm, and we service those each year in February and clean them out, and the bluebirds will use them the next year. We've never had 100% occupancy. Usually it's anywhere from 60 to 75% occupancy for bluebirds. You'll have occasional wasp nests. The birds are not going in there, and then you'll have flying squirrels to get on them, and they keep the birds out. The oldest planting is from 1971. We're harvesting them now. The next one was 76, 80. These were planted in 2000. We've got some that were planted in 1990, and these in 2000. Others were planted in 2012, and the last planted 108-acre tract was planted in 2015. We've got 3 small ponds. We dug 2 of them years ago when we were in the cattle business to water cattle, and I have since dug another one at this end of the farm just to water the wildlife. This farm for a mile and a half borders the main channel of the Cuddy Whiskey Drainage Project. And before that swamp project was completed back in the 60s, it was a difficult task to farm here because of so much standing water on the land. Even after that, this is marginal land. It's poorly drained, even though you've got the main channel of the swamp plain. And it's better off growing trees than it was trying to grow cotton and peanuts. We first started by just turning out marginal cropland and letting it grow in pine trees. And then I contacted Halifax Paper Company, which is now West Rock in Roanoke Rapids. And a forester by the name of Jim Anderson came and did the first management plan for us. That plan was primarily just for managing the trees. Didn't include wildlife, didn't include making roads to get in and out and so forth. The second plan was done by a forester by the name of Joe Huff with Champion International. Mr. Huff spent days and days over here and thoroughly walked it and made an excellent plan. And the plan has been updated 5 times since his, but his plan is still the main supporter of all the initial other planning that has been done. You got to realize when you start, it's going to be 35 to 40 years before you take that first harvest. And you will get a thinning, pulpwood thinning, and a second pulpwood thinning. But that's just a little money on the top of the table, and it helps you. But you've got to have patience to wait for it to get started and get rolling. And that's why we divided it into 13 tracks, because we wanted to have it spaced out so that there was a harvest periodically each third year. When I first started prescribed burning, I would take an old car tire and light it, put it on a chain behind my four-wheeler and make a circle around the area I wanted to burn. It didn't take long to learn that wasn't the way to do it, because your fire went to the center and it would get too hot. There was a danger of killing the trees in the center. And you learn in time that you have to start on one side and the way the wind's going and let the fire go that right. And generally you'll make a backfire so that it won't get away from you. But even at the best, sometimes it gets away, because the last 2 times we've burned, we got the State Forest Service to do it for us, and it got away from them, got on the adjoining landowner, so didn't do any real damage, but it'll get away from you. The benefit to burning is, first, it destroys the young vegetation. Secondly, it consumes the fuel that if you didn't burn would accumulate year after year, and pretty soon you'd have enough fuel to have a tremendously big fire. And they're the main 2 things that you prescribe burn for. That's my oldest tractor. That's a 1971 model. Ford 5000. I used it just yesterday to disc the garden. Yeah. I worked all my life on tractors with no heated and cooled cab on them. This had a cab, but it was not heated or cooled. And 4 years ago, I bought a new tractor that's got air and heat on it, and that's wonderful. That's wonderful.